Bob Show.
You love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. Fired!
It's kind of beneath, I think, a leader of a country to go that route. It's not what leaders do.
It's not a name call. Well, me and my friends call each other that all the time. Not his friend, though.
They're ruining the game, the game, the game.
You are live and direct at the Bob and Bob Show. Once again, I am Bob, and this is my cohort in problem solving, Bob.
Yep. What's up, everybody? Complaintboxes.com is where you can find us, set up a profile. It's a social media platform. You can get into the chat if you do that. Talk to us, post stuff. That's where the show is. You can listen to it. And we got Travis Meininger with us today, special guest here.
Thanks for having me, guys. How's everybody doing?
Doing good, man.
Hell yeah, Travis is a pretty high-end Trump supporter, but he's also a patriot of humanity like we are. Yes. So we figured that we'd bring him in, and we will be discussing this LeBron James, Kaepernick, Steph Curry situation where these sports ball players decide to get political now, like they're freaking smart guys or something.
Yeah, they're probably being goaded into it in some way, but you know, they talk a lot about not wanting politics to be in sports, but you know, first of all, that I hear LeBron blaming Trump on that. Well, Trump's reacting to something that's being put in his face. I'm sure he doesn't want to have sports and politics be the forefront of what he's talking about. There's plenty of other things to deal with. The military started that, though. In 2009, the military started putting a lot of money into the NFL and other sports, arenas, trying to boost recruiting for armed services. And
well, look, dude, LeBron James wants to sit here and act like Donald Trump is not our president. He won't even acknowledge his name. He calls him that guy.
That's silly.
That guy. That's so disrespectful.
Yeah. And what? Is it because he's a white guy and he's got blonde hair?
Right.
I don't know what it is, but I think that...
Well, it's because for 2 years, everybody's been telling everybody to hate the guy or love the guy, and people are just going for it instead of looking at the reality of the situation. People, it seems like they're dumber than ever, man. It's nuts.
Well, the idea, he'll sit here and say that Donald Trump's dividing the nation...
He's not, though.
But then he won't even freaking acknowledge that he's the president.
Right.
So who's dividing who here?
He's guilty of his own contempt.
LeBron James has a platform with the NBA that's huge. Every time this guy gets on after a game, like they want to hear about the game and they want to hear about this, and there's reporters everywhere. He has a giant platform where he can divide the country. That is what he's doing.
He's a
says
talking head, pretty much. He's a talking
turning
head.
into one, yeah.
Yeah, well, King James, like he's the king,
right.
Like you're not the king, dude. Get off your high horse.
No, he's the king of basketball. That's great. You're not, but he's not a political commentator with any real knowledge or education to put out there, man. And people, out of respect for him and his sports balling, they're going to give him that clout even though it's rationally not sound. As far as politics being a part of the game, as far as I'm concerned, you can get rid of all of it. It's propaganda. Sure, fly an American flag. We're in America, whatever. But to make it political when it's very self-contradictory. As far as the political uproar past having the anthem, which is fine by me personally, I don't care. But Kaepernick kneeling is what started all this.
Yeah.
He's talking about it like Trump created some kind of problem with sports and politics. No, Kaepernick did that, man. For real, like literally, Kaepernick did that. He brought all this to the forefront.
Yeah.
He created this whole thing we're talking about. And now these other guys are feeding into it.
It's to me, it's all about publicity with these guys. That's why I think Kaepernick did that.
Sure. He wanted to make the most impact he possibly could, man. And he did. But... from what I understand, his whole message was protesting police brutality. Of course.
Yeah, so you're going to kneel during the flag?
Right.
To protest police brutality?
During the anthem. Yeah, you can, because it's a national problem. And constitutionally, it's his right to do so. But what he did, and he may not have really understood what he was starting when he did that, was... He took the platform of bread and circuses and and sports, which has its own political dealings within itself that have nothing to do with the nation or anything else, as far as real world politics and national politics are concerned. And he blended the two, and now it's a huge controversy.
Well, this kind of situation makes me, we talked about in the past that I don't like. I'm not a president supporter. Okay.
Right.
Unless they do some certain things, which we've talked about, that from the Federal Reserve and different situations. If I don't see a president come out and stand up and talk about some of the real problems, obviously police brutality is a problem, but it's not a problem like something that has their clutches on our financial system, which devalues our dollar, and some of the more important things.
Well, it is important. It depends on who you ask, man. But
well, if you want to, what's happened is civilization, or just society in America in general, has been destabilized because people didn't have jobs, people didn't have the money to pay for certain things, or their dollar just isn't worth what it used to be. So now the poverty rates during Obozo's administration, President Obama, Mr. freaking liberal kingpin skinny pimp, ain't nobody trying to deal with this crap, dude. Like, now all of a sudden we got rid of your liberal piece of retard trash, and we have a guy in there that literally in front of my screen right now has done so much since he's been president, compared to Obama and Obozo.
Obama did a lot.
Yeah, he did a lot of destruction.
He did.
Yeah.
You know what Obama was really, really good at? He was really good at it. He's an amazing speaker.
Yes.
He's an amazing propagandist. He was really good at making really articulate and intellectually sound speeches that sounded awesome and looked awesome on camera. And he could use that as sleight of hand to lead people down a really dark, draconian path, and that's exactly what he did.
Oh yeah, like the National Defense Authorization
Absolutely,
Act.
that's
this
what
guy
I'm
signs
talking
a
about.
freaking a bill in Hawaii on New Year's Eve at midnight.
While everybody else is getting hammered and not paying attention.
Who the hell does that? I mean, literally. And how much coverage was there on the media? Of
I know. I'll tell you who does that. Mafia bosses, man.
Yes. Yep. I mean, back to the sports balling and these players politicizing their role now because King James says so.
They're no more politically. They have no more political expertise than 17-year-old kids do about gun policy, man. Just because something where in the world they're in has been politicized and come to the forefront doesn't mean that what they have to say about it has any relevance. And, here's the thing. I'm always going to defend their right to say it. That's fine. But what are you really saying, and what's your point? Because if it's just stupidity and continuing the problem or evading the problem, like LeBron's talking about, he's somehow just making this a whole thing about Trump. It really doesn't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with police brutality, which nobody's talking about. And it has to do with Kaepernick's protest to police brutality. But it's just like, the Parkland shooting had to do with Nicholas Cruz being insane and running in there and killing a bunch of people, and it turned into something about the AR-15 and gun control. It's a sidestep. It's a sidestep to subversion.
It's a hoodwink.
Exactly.
Oh,
dude.
you used your term.
Yep. It is absolutely a hoodwink, and it's probably not even intentional. I think LeBron's probably as malleable as a lot of people are, man. He can be.
What do you think, Travis? What's your view on a lot of this?
Well, as far as LeBron goes, I've heard what he said about Trump, and I definitely do not agree with it. He's all about bringing his people up, and, he cares about his people. If he would look at the facts are that what Trump has done in his first 500 days is, I got a list right here. It's ridiculous. Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm going to read them off during the show at some point.
You
here.
look at unemployment, you look at welfare, food stamps, and as far as that goes, it's all improved. Like, the guy is doing what he said he was going to do.
Yeah,
and
his laundry list of things he's been doing is he's really doing stuff.
Yeah, right.
So,
what he said he was going to do on the campaign trail, he's actually doing. And I've never seen a president do that, to the point. Like, I saw Trump at one of his rallies, and I heard everything he had to say. And when I watch the news and he did this and he did that, he's holding true to what he was saying to a certain point. You know what I mean? And that's more than I've ever seen in the past.
Yeah, he's had a lot of walls that the Congress will put up in front of him and the Democrats will put up in front of him, and he still gets stuff pushed.
Exactly.
Being who he is, he's pretty good at facing huge opposition and basically stomping it down, which you have to do in politics or business because you're always going to face lots of opposition and stuff like that. And that's why I said, if you listen to the last show, remember I was talking about Trump's character as a person? There are some things where
that's kind of bad there.
But no, is it though?
I don't know.
I was saying, this is exactly what I was talking about before. Maybe having some of these qualities that are less than savory are a huge advantage when you really need to get something done.
Yeah, I mean the guy's cocky, and I got to give it to him. That's a plus for me. I want somebody in power that's cocky. That's like,
it's all about where it's being used. You know what I mean? It's like a gun. You can end tyranny with it, or you can kill a bunch of school kids. It's all about how it's used, man. If the gun is the equation of cocky, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a tool that you can use.
Well, the problem is because he's outspoken and he talks like we talk. In a sense, I mean, I guess we talk a little smarter than him, but
he's not articulate like a politician should be, like how Obama was.
Yeah, he's not a huge con artist with his speech.
Well, he is a con artist. They all
But he's not with the way he talks. He's not. Obama will make you believe that.
Obama was no less.
He will tell you that we're gonna send military to your door and we're gonna take your family and put them in a freaking FEMA camp. But he'll say it in such a nice manner that people will applaud and say,
people don't notice.
Yeah,
right.
Trump, every word he says, dude, like everybody's attacking him immediately. Everything he says.
And that's the other thing is that you really have to look at action because it goes back to the same thing. I'm going to compare Obama again. Because Obama was a great speaker, he could basically, he could piss on your foot and tell you it's raining, and you would believe him because of how articulate he was. But he's really pissing on your foot. Trump, in a way, would just the way he comes across, it's kind of like he's drunk or something, and he would pour water on your foot and tell you it's piss, but it's actually water. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'm not even the biggest Trump supporter, but now, the more I'm seeing about what's happening as time is, well, I'm critical of all politicians first. I'm going to clear that up for the 100th time. You all probably already know that.
Yeah, you have to be.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I don't really trust any of them, but the whole thing about it is that action matters, results matter, and based on some of the things that we're seeing after the last year and a half or whatever it's been, close to 2 years or whatever of Trump being a president, there are a lot of changes that are seeming to go in a positive direction, even if they're going in an abrasive manner. They're going the right way, man.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
sliding smoothly into a bad place is worse than going roughly into a good place, right? I mean,
yeah. And you guys got to figure that this guy, he has people fighting him at every step, and he's still getting it done.
He gets called a racist all the time. What's he doing that's racist?
Right.
I mean, really, let's see some concrete stuff. What is he doing that's racist?
Yeah, it'll be because these Mexicans, we need to stop them from coming over here. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, and then he's putting everybody in one pot. Immediately, racist. You're racist.
That goes right back to the articulation. He needs better speechwriters and needs to speak better. He's being lazy about how he's saying it. He doesn't really mean Mexicans because a lot of them aren't even Mexican. What he means is unsavory individuals that aren't citizens of the United States shouldn't be allowed to come to the United States and do their unsavory stuff, like Scarface from Cuba. You know what I mean? Came in with a bunch of good refugees.
Again, okay, this is racist. Black and Hispanic unemployment rates hit record low. This was back in April. This is something that Trump has done, but he's racist. Food stamp usage drops 500,000 in a single month.
Yeah.
That's racist, right?
Well, other stuff we need to pick apart and look at, though. Food stamp usage drops. Why did it drop? Is it because people were taking off food stamps, or is it because people don't need food stamps? You know what I'm saying? Everything's got to spin, man.
Yeah, it could be dropped because he's just cutting people.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have a welfare state going on here. So,
which I'm totally against.
Yeah, I'm against it, too. Get to work. We've talked about getting to work and American grit. We've talked about that.
Right. I'm not against legitimate charity. What I'm against, you got to understand what a welfare state is. It is to keep a status quo. Welfare is designed to keep people where they are. That what we call the broken system, because it's so hard for people to break out of it, it plays against human nature, man. People are going to take the easiest path, just like everything does. Like an alligator he's just going to sit there in the water and wait till a fish swims past him and grab it. He's not going to go look for a fish. He doesn't need to. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the nature of every beast, So welfare plays against that and keeps people where they are. So the system has to be set up so to where it truly is a social safety net to keep society from turning into a massive turd, but at the same time, not make society a massive turd.
Well, dude, you need to make sure that, disabled people are taken care of.
That's what I'm talking
about.
about.
That's what I'm saying. And they got to be taken care of. Our veterans got to be taken care of. The elderly have to be taken care of. But if you're freaking 25 years old and you're a woman with 5 kids, no, maybe a little cushion to get you started. But if you didn't graduate high school and you keep popping out kids, you're on your 5th kid, your 5th baby daddy.
We can't reward people for failure and make them burdens of people that are handling their business. You know what I mean? But there just has to be checks and balances and stopgaps. And with bureaucracy, that almost always fails. We see it every time. Alphabet soup is trash. It's rotten, dude.
Well, another thing we're seeing is from the sports political arena that we keep talking about.
Sure.
I don't know if they're using this as a shock value to greater their standing in the NBA or the NFL or whatever sports ball situation they're in.
It's not going to work.
But it's bringing attention to them, and I don't know if they understand that a lot of people don't support Democrats in this country.
Yeah.
And I think they're catering to these inner city, gimme free stuff people. And
people are seeing through that.
Sure.
Yeah,
they are for sure.
Even, people that have been born and raised in that paradigm are seeing through that now and breaking out of it.
Well,
man.
let's take Eminem, for example. I used to love Eminem back in the day. Now he is a son of a bitch now.
Yep.
He is telling his fans that Trump, if you voted for him, it's wrong. And LeBron's doing it. And, they're attacking Trump. I guarantee you, Eminem is losing fans all the time because of his stupid little freaking rant he does about Trump.
Oh, yeah. That's so much negative attention. Look at how many country boys do you think listen to Eminem?
Not anymore.
Exactly, not anymore.
Right.
I used to until he went on his rant, and then that's it for me.
You're done. You're done. I won't be listening to anything. I won't be buying anything.
Right, I don't support that.
He's washed up anyway now. So your career's over, Eminem. You're a piece of trash now, just so you know.
Slim Shady.
Shady.
What we're seeing is...
Get your rich ass knocked out. Come to the country, buddy. Come out here. Roll some 4-wheelers with us and listen to some country rap. Drink a case of beer. Go up to the fucking lookout. Oh, I just said the F-bomb.
Who cares, dude? Let's we can put a gunshot in there.
Yeah,
later.
we can. It'll be all right.
What it comes down to is we're looking at elitist arrogance and how do I explain this right? What we get is people that have become influential, become famous. They've got, yes men surrounding them for years and years. And then they start thinking that their personal opinion is more important than somebody else's. And that, it's okay to have your personal opinion and even put it out there. But when you start alienating your fan base or the public in general, by basically saying if you don't, you're either with me or you're a bad person, that is un-American. That is un-American.
Yeah.
That's not liberty. Liberty is when you can handle an opposing opinion and it's just fine. You're okay with it.
LeBron James running his mouth. Eminem running his mouth. And guess what Trump did? Nothing.
Well, he runs his mouth all the time too.
But they're getting
one
mad.
Of his follies, and it's easy to play him on that.
Well, they're getting angry because he is not responding to him. Like, you guys are not worth my time.
Finally, his PR people were like, dude, don't respond to him.
Yeah.
And Obama was really good at taking that flack, and that's part of what made him kind of like Teflon, dude. So it goes back to that whole Obama was a PR master, man.
Yes, he was.
People could criticize him, and he would come back in the most eloquent, respectful way. Basically, like Winston Churchill said, tact is when you can tell somebody to piss off and have them thank you for it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, dude, the history behind Obama, his you ever seen Dreams of My Real Father?
No.
You guys need to go on YouTube and look that up. Dreams of My Real Father. It talks about his mom, his dad, some of their political standpoints, the schooling he went to, what he learned, the elite colleges, all the stuff. He's like, wow, it's amazing. And once you really look into it, you're like, wow, this dude was the greatest real manipulator, con artist of all time.
Dude, presidents have been cons for a long time.
Yeah, no, but they get better and better.
Yeah, the FDR was an amazing con too. It's crazy. Because, for the thing about being a con is that you have to do good stuff to win people over, or they're just going to hang you in the street. So you have to. It's pretty complex, man.
Well, Trump's doing good stuff, and they're still hanging him in the streets.
Sure. Well, that's because the media is telling a bunch of people, while they're watching basketball, they should hate Trump because their favorite basketball star does or whatever.
Right,
and it's appealing to the lowest common denominator, and that's not a new tactic. It's something that goes on and on.
Well, think about the amount of people that...
They're all guilty of their own contempt.
Think about the amount of people from some of these LeBron James speeches that he's had, and we're going to play it on our halfway point here on our break. You're going to hear him talk about some things that really ended up pissing me off. But
Pissed me off too.
Think about how many people. Think about how many people are oblivious to the political structure, oblivious to the state of the country.
A lot of people,
and they're gonna just automatically believe what LeBron James says. So this dude really needs to watch what he's saying because, before I really didn't have a problem with sports, and the only problem that I really had was the fact that men aren't, they think that they're men, they're all manly, and they drink beers with each other during the game, and they pat each other on the back, and they go over all the statistics, and they think they're all tough, but they don't even know what the term tyranny means, and they won't fight against anything that's going to better their families' lives or help anything in this country. All they want to do is watch their stupid sports. And now I have a problem. They've been subverted.
Yeah, and there's a dynamic in people. It goes back to that
bunch of idiots,
elitist arrogance I was talking about. And what happens is when you get somebody that's been put on a pedestal for a long time, their ego starts to blind them to a responsibility where they forget that the influence they have to be careful in how they use it, man, and. They lose their responsibility to that influence, meaning they can be used as a tool to subvert masses and not even realize
There's
it.
a tool right there. Look at him.
Yeah,
Jeez.
or they can do it on purpose or not. Either way, if you take away the responsibility, it's never good.
I just don't get somebody who can just, okay, you're good at sports, you're athletic. What gives you the right to be political?
Well, he does have the right to be political because of the First Amendment. The Bill of Rights gives him the right.
I'm saying, what gives you the people that are listening to you, most of the people are idiots. And you're telling them
that's the responsibility part.
You're telling them stupid stuff that is going to lead them into believing you instead of what is actually happening.
Yeah.
The president is actually doing things, and you won't believe it.
That's where the responsibility part comes in, though. Yeah, you have the right to do it. You have the influence and the open door to do it. But the responsibility part is where you actually consider the effects of it and decide whether or not to do it and what your real ends are.
Yeah.
What are your real goals?
Division. They're dividing. Donald Trump's dividing us, or that guy is dividing us.
He stands up there.
That guy.
He stands up there blaming,
and that's what's dividing
somebody
us.
for dividing us, and he's actually doing that.
Yeah, he's doing it worse. That Donald Trump isn't dividing anybody just because he grabbed some lady's pussy or whatever. That's dividing us. Now he's a male chauvinist pig.
Well, they're pulling stuff. They're pulling stuff that has really nothing to do. I mean, that's no more of a national issue than Bill Clinton's blowjob, but it all gets used for that partisan baiting, man. And that's why I don't pay any attention to it. I don't give a shit. I really don't care if he grabs pussies, and I don't care if Bill Clinton gets blowjobs. I really don't. You know what I care about? I care about the policy they make.
Yeah. I want to see the country. I want to see the country progressing. If I see draconian laws being passed, and I see more surveillance and Big Brother and all this kind of stuff, now I got an issue. But I'm seeing the economy rising. I'm seeing from the unemployment rates to a bunch of North Korea and South Korea trying to have talks. Donald Trump gets a bunch of prisoners that were in North Korea out of there and brings them back to the States, works a deal with them.
He walks a line, too, man.
Come on.
I'm watching him do what he does, and I'm thinking, dude, you're going to lead us into an insane war, like a potentially major catastrophe.
Yeah, like
that
the trade deals with China. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, man,
and
where are we going?
But then I see where it goes, and I'm like, I got to hand it to him, man, for being just such a belligerent asshat, like just bare-knuckle boxer type negotiator at high risk and putting the entire world really at risk. And then for it to come out to where North Korea, after 50 years, just bows down and steps out? Are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah, what did he do? What did he say to that guy?
Hey, it's the art of the deal,
crazy.
guys. That's what it is. The art of the deal.
Apparently it is.
He's like, listen, we're gonna let what's that basketball player that's buddies with
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman. Let's let him live over there now.
Yeah.
You want citizenship? You can hang out with him. Just
And you know,
he just signed this deal.
that's another thing, that whole elitist arrogance thing, the dumb stuff they say when they get into politics, and they never do what they say they're going to do. And that's where they get no
Oh, well, I
credibility.
mean, honestly, they're out of touch with reality.
They're completely
of the
out
common
of
man.
touch. Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So are the politicians, but
Oh, yeah.
it's their job. It's the politicians' job. So really, they really need to be held accountable in a way beyond just freedom of speech for your average citizen. Politicians' job is to make policy for those common people that they're so detached from. So that's a little different. But, you know, we're talking about celebrities and stuff.
Well, they're blending celebrities with freaking the president, like Obama hanging out with Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Sure.
You know, the Illuminati group.
That's something different completely. That's another show. But like, I mean, that's Marilyn Monroe and Kennedy. It's always that. The high classes have always been like that, but what I'm talking about is their actual job. So in the public eye, a politician needs to be a certain way because of his duty. His rights are still there, but that responsibility needs to be even greater. But then, so all these sports people and you know, Hollywood elites and stuff like that, this is not part of their job at all. So, but they have that influence and pull still. But they're detached. They're very detached, and they can do a lot of damage just the same. And it's a bad situation because their job is not to make policy, not at all.
Well, that's why I refer to them as talking heads, because they have such a big platform and they know that.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows who's behind the scenes pumping that into them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Pump
Who's
out
writing-
into the masses.
Yeah, who's writing their scripts?
Exactly.
I don't know. It's insane. Sometimes I just think to myself, like, who is behind the whole propaganda? Is Trump and LeBron and Eminem and Capper back ass and dumbass and freaking all the other people that are running their mouth? Is this all scripted?
That's our big mysteries, man.
Or is this just something they just keep feeding them little pieces of information to piss them off?
I think that's what it
then
is.
They're just kind of goading it on as it happens.
It's like training a dog, dude.
Yeah, and then you get the corporate media involved with it, and they're like glorifying all kinds of different areas to get the public all pissed off, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got this big controversy.
Yeah.
Great news coverage, isn't it?
I think it's like any other dominating
Fake news.
force. It's very rarely just one big bang and everything's settled, like one big controller. I think it's like you know, a guerrilla war tactic, only it's a soft war. I think there's a lot of little pokes, a lot of little bee stings, man. And as those collectively bring that subversion, bring that social change that of small power structure is behind, you know, and we know who they are. It's the Bilderberg Group. We know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Whoever's involved with the Bilderbergs, whatever financiers and whatever huge corporate owners and freaking political whoever involved with that, they just had their meeting. I don't even know what the exact date was, but they had a list of the attendees. I need to look that up during the break and figure that out.
Yeah.
But I mean, these people are nuts, man. They'll do anything to destroy our way of life.
Well, they have
but
to.
they got to keep it moving.
Well, yeah, because moving is what keeps it intact, actually. It's just like an atom. The particles have to move or they just fall apart and then matter disappears and we fall into a different dimension.
Oh, here we go.
But yeah, like it's all it goes back to those fractal patterns. A lot of people aren't going to understand what I'm saying when I say that, but it's something you have to find on your own. It's going to be nonsense unless you understand what I'm saying. But the whole thing, geez, I just forgot what I was going to say. I started thinking about quantum physics.
Oh, no. Why are you getting off into that already?
I don't know, man.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. You know, you're listening to the Bob and Bob Show, and, you know, sports is just retarded.
We're going to, in a minute here, we got a list of things that Trump has accomplished. Because me personally, I'm not a big Trump supporter, but there's a whole list of stuff here that I'd like to go over because it looks pretty good.
Yep. All right, it's the Bob and Bob Show. We'll be right back.
NFL, the coaches, the players, the owners, the fans, everyone that had anything or any association with the NFL yesterday was unbelievable. It was solidarity, and there was no divide. There's no divide, even from that guy that continues to try to divide us as people. And like I said on one of my social media platforms a couple days ago, the thing that kind of frustrated me and pissed me off a little bit is the fact that he used sport. He used the sports platform to try to divide us. And sports is so amazing what sports can do for everyone. No matter the shape or size or race or ethnicity or religion or whatever, people find teams, people find players, people find colors because of sport, and they just gravitate towards that, and it just make them so happy. And it brings people together like none other. And I'm not gonna let, while I have this platform, to let one individual, no matter the power, use sport as a platform to divide us.
You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing, you shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country.
Welcome back to the Bob and Bob Show. We got a special guest here today. It's Travis.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah. It's his first time on here. We're going to have him on here a lot, I think. And complaintboxes.com. That's where you want to go to find us. Make a profile. You can post, chat, all that stuff.
And we bring all races together.
Yeah.
All different shapes and sizes.
All different shapes and sizes can sport. We can
sport.
We got JR with us too. He's our cameraman now. He's helping us out with all this. He's going to come on the show too, man. He's got a lot to say. So anyway, we got this thing with LeBron here. That wasn't very articulate. He should have maybe rehearsed that, but
well, he was live like after a b-ball game.
It was pretty dumb, actually. But yeah, he's talking about the bread and circuses, how it brings people together. That's great. And then he talks about how that guy, he's talking about Donald Trump, and just saying that he's being divisive, guilty of his own contempt. But talking about how as long as he has this platform, he would never, use it to divide people. Well, that's exactly what he just did.
Yeah, to the T. And, sure, sports bring people together. So does FEMA camps.
Well, there's another side of that, too. Speaking of FEMA camps, how do people end up in FEMA camps? Maybe
they put sports ball in there.
Well, maybe forced nationalism, and you don't apply, so you go to gulag, right? So Trump just said something there at the end there.
That was pretty crazy. You shouldn't even be in this country.
Yeah, he said if you don't stand for the national anthem, maybe you shouldn't be in the country. Well, that's totally unconstitutional, and that's coming from the president. Come on, dude.
How is that unconstitutional?
Because we have in this country, supposedly under the Bill of Rights, have the freedom to not play into forced nationalism. That's how despotism starts. That's literally anti-American by the framers' design. But I don't think he even means that. But just to say it, here's the difference. LeBron is the king of, basketball right now. He's not a politician. He's not a policymaker. He is a public figure. Feaker. He's a public figure with a lot of influence, which, gives him that power of influence. But he's not the president. And then the president goes and says something that is despotic, really. I don't know how else to say it, man.
That's why I put that in there, man, because it's both. Now we're going on both sides of the spectrum here.
Yeah.
You can see LeBron being an idiot, and you can see Trump being an idiot at the same time, saying some crazy crap.
Everybody gets to be stupid.
What do you think, Travis? What do you think's going on here between the LeBron James and the Trump battle going on here?
Well, I'll say this, and I said this earlier in the show, I don't understand where LeBron's coming from, because he's trying to better, I'm going to use quotation marks here, his people, okay? And all these great things Trump is doing as far as unemployment rate, jobs. I know in my area, jobs have been coming back like crazy. And where LeBron grew up and his area is 30 minutes for me, you know what I mean? So you would think that he would appreciate that his people, quotation marks, are going back to work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is he even aware of it, though?
I don't know. I don't get it. That's what I don't get. And
well, he doesn't know about the accomplishments of Trump, apparently, and he's just inherently... I think he's being racist.
I think he's playing.
I'm going to say it right now because you got a white guy in office. We had 8 years of Obama, and now all of a sudden there's a white guy. Everybody freaking hates him.
I just think he's taking the bait, dude. The anti-Trump bait, you know.
Well, him, Eminem, Kaepernick, all these idiots are freaking taking the bait.
well, they're just out of touch with reality. That's
Sure.
They probably don't pay attention to anything that's happening. I mean,
Not on a real level.
well, we're going to get into a little bit about Trump here just because LeBron James, nobody wants to acknowledge some of the great things that he's done. Again, there's some things he hasn't done for me to fully join the Trump train. So, but I am going to talk about it.
I'm on the Trump train.
Well, we know, Trav, we know. Back to the unemployment. The unemployment claims have fallen to a 45-year low. 45-year low. That is insane. Some of the budget, and you want to talk about the military spending in the budget.
Military spending, yes, exactly.
Yeah, why don't you drop it like it's hot on there for us? real
Okay,
quick.
so under Obama, as everybody hopefully knows, like he cut military spending way down. Okay, and I just want to give you guys a little look into my life. I work at a forging company, and 80% of the contracts we have are government. We make aerospace parts for military planes, fighter jets, helicopters, transport planes. We actually make missile parts, nose cone missiles, all that. So here's the thing. Under Obama, we went from $10 million a month down to $2 million a month. We had laid off over 300 people. And in my area, that's a big thing, you know. Where I'm from, steel is real big. The steel industry.
Which I heard that's coming back to Northeast
It
Ohio.
is.
It's coming back big time,
Yeah.
especially with the tariffs that have just recently
and the
been put on.
regulations that he's lifted.
Exactly, the EPA regulations. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just want to let, like, when Trump signed this big military spending bill, we went from $2 million a month under Obama, and we are back up to $8 million, and everybody is hired back, and we are still currently hiring. My payday has went up tremendously in the last year since Trump's been in office. And I'm a believer in, I know a lot of people have different opinions on military spending and how it should be spent, but I'm a believer in if you carry a big stick, nobody will mess with you.
Sure. That's true.
And I don't think a lot of people understand how much that affects the American worker as far as, like, making military parts and how the spending all comes into it.
Ultimately, it's all taxpayer funded, but
Well,
here's
exactly.
the other thing, carrying a big stick is one thing, invading a bunch of countries.
Yeah,
for imperialism
right,
is another.
right,
Yeah, what are we building up for?
Right.
Here? Why is all the military spending increasing, and why is production going up? Is there something coming?
Yeah, well, that brings in this now, okay? A strong economy is awesome. That can be done a lot of different ways. Ike warned us about the military-industrial complex. That's literally what we're talking about right now. My brother-in-law, he works at a place, I'm not going to say who he is or what he does, but he works at a place that has been very influential in military contract for, lots of decades here, pretty much since the 50s or whatever, post-World War II. And they laid off like 700 people, man. Like, in the Obama era, he was one of the 100 that were allowed to stay, and they were talking about what are we going to do if he gets laid off? I mean, you know what I mean? But anyway, all of that spending it's going into military spending because that's where it's being put. It could be put into a lot of other types of things too. Like, you wouldn't lose your job, CNC and foundry and stuff like that. That can all go into other type of industry too. It doesn't necessarily have to be for armament. It could go into civil projects, like you're talking about Jacques Fresco.
Oh yeah,
You're the expert on that.
Yeah,
dude.
the Venus Project, kind of more of a. Everybody wants to call it some socialist thing, and it is kind of strange, but
Well, the military-industrial complex is socialist in the sense that it's taxpayer funded.
well, this design that Jacques Fresco had, which he's been passed on. He's gone now, but it was more of a resource-based economy. So you only deal with the resources you have. You don't have anything shipping from frickin' China unless it's something that you can't get in America, like bananas or some product that doesn't grow here or whatever. You just can't get it here.
There's no need for a tariff or an embargo if we're sourcing domestically in the first place.
Well, right, exactly.
But at the same time, here's one problem I had with his design was that there was a central computer in each city.
That's the dangerous
that
part.
Controls how much goes in and how much comes out.
Yeah.
And then obviously AI will get involved with that, and it'll just decide on its own, and then you don't have any say-so. So
that's the bad part of what he was talking about.
Yeah, I want things. I want to be plentiful in everything. I want to be rich in everything that we have. I don't want to destroy the planet. So obviously, there's problems we have. They won't freaking legalize hemp to be used in production.
Right.
We could use that for all kinds of different things. But yeah, we got to keep the plastic industry going. We got to keep the rubber industry going. We got to keep all the oil and all that stuff going.
And
destroy the planet and war.
War is a great way to keep that going because it turns durable items into consumable items. Like building something out of steel in a peacetime, that item is going to last a lifetime, literally. If it's built for war, it's going to get destroyed. That's the whole point, man. You know what I mean? And then you build more. But, war does boost economies. We saw that after World War II. That's why That's why Ike came in and warned us. I mean, he was the supreme commander of the Allied forces. He knew what he was talking about. He saw how all this logistics and acquisition and, the production all came in and folded in. And he warned us about the coming, military-industrial complex. But do I think, I'm just going to clear up my personal opinion because what I'm saying is pretty controversial, but do I think we should have, a top grade, well-armed, well-trained military? Absolutely, man. I mean, if you know anything about who I am personally, I'm all about armament and the ability to just stomp. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
keep it reserved.
But I also am a staunch constitutional libertarian, and I don't believe in...
Yeah, there's a term, constitutional libertarian.
Yeah, I don't believe
not a snowflake, not a safe spacer.
Yeah, I don't believe in corporate imperialistic wars and using government and citizens to those ends. But, I mean, there's things that we can branch off onto in a million different directions. But we were talking about Trump boosting the economy. You were talking about the military spending, which it is important. We do need to put the resource and money into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people realize how much of that money goes into the American worker and helps the American worker out.
Yeah.
Well, even if you help the American worker out, guess what you're going to do with your money? You're going to spend it.
Right.
So other companies are going to start flourishing from it.
Well, that's how economics works.
Yeah. I mean,
in a free market.
Yeah, well, not crony capitalism market.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be dealing. What's happening there is big bank take little bank kind of thing.
Well, if you look at economics at its root, what causes a healthy economic situation is not merely the existence of wealth, because the existence of wealth, it's about how it's distributed and how it moves. The existence of wealth has to be there, but it has a lot more to do with moving the money around. And this goes back to the quantum physics and the fractal patterns,
great.
just like how atoms have to move around and not fall apart. That money has to move around and not fall apart. If all of us put all of our money into a pot and hide it somewhere and don't do anything with it, what happens?
It just stays the same.
It collapses. There's nothing to hold it up. Nobody's moving money, so there's no trade.
Well, you're talking about maybe more of a confidence thing. You have to have confidence, like in the dollar.
I'm just talking. I'm not even
That
talking
what
about the
gives it
dollar.
value is
I'm
the
just
confidence.
talking about a currency model, money, wealth being held. If you're just holding it in one place and it doesn't move, it falls apart. Moving it is what makes it grow. Like the stock market, it's people moving money, dude. Or the grocery store, it's people moving money. You see how all this works. It's what you're saying. I'm just breaking it down into like an LSD trip.
Dude, see, I mean, you're trying to give it the classic model, but I mean, since 1913, we've been taken over by a private banking institution.
Well, that's a criminal situation.
So now they manipulate the money, they inflate and deflate interest rates, and
that's not natural movement,
right?
Though. That's manipulation.
They're manipulating it, and there's no gold standard anymore, so nothing is accounted for by gold. And everything is just, in the old days, they just printed it when they wanted to. Now they just digitize it.
Sure.
And they type it in there and they say, oh, this is what when you go to the bank and you deposit that check that you got, all they do is type that into a frickin' computer and then they put it into their reserves. I think they're only allowed to hold like 10% and they can loan out the rest.
Right.
Then add another frickin' interest rate to it or add your loan to it. And then all of a sudden it's just making money. So money's making money. And it's not even real money.
Right.
It's all digitized freaking fictional crap.
Well, when you make everybody a millionaire, that creates hyperinflation, and then what's the point? That brings down a collapse too.
Well, hyperinflation or inflation in general is already built into the system.
Inflation is a natural occurrence. Artificial inflation is what the Fed does. And then hyperinflation is what you don't want to happen. If hyperinflation happens, that means your money's worthless now.
Oh.
And that's what happened in Venezuela.
Let's all this attack on Trump all the time, and I think it's comical. Sometimes it's funny, and I like some of the things he says. It's funny, and it's outlandish.
Yeah.
And unacceptable sometimes.
He has no filter. That's for sure.
He has no filter. But I got this. This is magapill.com, magapill.com, and this is a list because unfortunately the media doesn't like to cover anything that Trump is accomplishing. They want to cover just a little teeny bit all the time.
It's highly biased.
Yeah, and this is what makes me start really liking Trump. Because the media is exploiting him. LeBron James is exploiting him. Eminem, all these different superstars don't like him. So that makes me look at him even closer.
Well,
because these guys are idiots.
Mob mentality can do one of two things. It'll either make you look into, if you're not part of the mob, it'll make you look into what's really going on and see it more clearly. And if you are part of the mob, which is what the mass media, legacy media relies on is mob mentality. They spoon feed you information over and over, and then you just believe whatever they say, and you're not really looking at it. So we're really looking at what Trump's doing here. So.
All right, so I'm going to go through some of these things with you guys. You stop me if you have an argument about it or you want to talk about it. We'll just go nice and slow. So this is going to be within government, things that Trump has done. The first one is he secures the release of American prisoners from North Korea. Now, I don't know if you want to talk about that, but our other presidents never did that, did they?
No.
You were in a communist freaking regime, and you're done. We make no deals with terrorists, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Except for Obama,
yeah. Except for Obama. Imagine that. He actually negotiates peace between North Korea and South Korea.
He does it through aggression, too, which is crazy. I've never seen... That was magic, the way he pulled that off.
I know.
I was worried about that.
That's my whole theory of carry a big stick.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not afraid to wave it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Theodore Roosevelt, man, actually. Like, that's the kind of stuff he would do. That's why they called him the bull moose,
All right, here's a big one. Trump signs an order calling for work requirements for welfare programs.
I like the sound of that.
I like it.
Is this real or not? I don't know. If you're on welfare, you better get your ass to work because you're about to lose it.
Yeah.
And unless you're disabled, unless you really need it, it's time to get to work and stop sitting on your porch drinking Bud Lights all day.
Yeah,
welfare should be for people that
Colt
really
45.
need it. And there's a lot of reasons why people should need or could need welfare, but it's not it's not free money in a socialist system. It's not what it's supposed to be.
A lot of people think that, though.
I know.
Oh, man.
That's because generations deep, man. It keeps people where they are.
So since Trump is a male chauvinist pig and he's a womanizer, he nominated the first woman for the head of the CIA. I mean, here goes Trump, the female chauvinist asshole pig.
CIA should just be taken apart, but that's another situation.
It is. All right. So the feds collect record taxes in the first month under Trump's tax cuts. It runs surplus in January.
Boo.
Boo. Taxation is theft.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see. There's a 2-year. Here's your
taxation without representation is theft, and we're not represented.
Here's your. He signed a sweeping 2-year budget deal for funding the military. We just talked about that. Let's see. He signs a bipartisan bill to combat synthetic opioids, which we've talked about that before. First, instead of building a wall in Mexico, go after the drug cartels and
decriminalize all of it.
Right. That's a Ron Paul theory right there.
It works.
Yeah. It'll be better if you just decriminalize it and stop making. But
people are going to do it anyway. Why make it some big heavy burden on the state, the people, and give rise to massive criminal organizations and basically destroy nations? Mexico is completely destroyed because of the market for drugs in the United States and the fact that they're illegal. it has completely destroyed Central America and Mexico and a lot of the U.S., giving us a martial law police state that is now normalized, so people don't even understand what that definition is. And I mean, that's all I'm going to say about it right now.
Oh, here's a huge one he did. The individual mandate for Obamacare, got rid of it.
Yeah.
Good thing.
That was a huge problem. Like, because you don't have health care, you get fined in your taxes.
Yeah, that's literal tyranny.
Like, dude, what if I choose to live off of plants on the land and I don't want nothing to do with your freaking crazy pharmaceutical establishment?
It's force and coercion for, just corporate padding, and it's a crony deal. It's the reason why, it's literally why the Tea Party happened in Boston, man, actually.
And, okay, under Obama, what happened to NASA and the exploration of space?
I don't know.
We never heard anything about it. Well, Trump actually, new policy directive that calls for human expansion across the solar system. Oh, great. We're going back into space again? We were already in space, first off. It all has just become underground shadow government style.
I'm not convinced we don't. I mean, I'm talking about the Pentagon for a second. How does the Pentagon lose trillions of dollars in a year? Nobody loses trillions of dollars. It's an astronomical number.
Trillions is huge.
But people they just see it on the news, they do their griping at the dinner table, and it's over with, and they're not really thinking about what was just said to them. I think this is crazy, and people are going to call me nuts. Nobody loses trillions of dollars, and nobody pays $200 for a screwdriver and a toilet seat.
Yeah, that's uncalled of.
We have a space fleet.
Oh, yeah. They're probably up there orbiting the Earth and beyond.
It's probably on the dark side of the moon where we'll never see it, man.
Dark side of the moon.
You know what I'm saying?
Or Mars. They found the building blocks of life on Mars now, right?
Yeah. It's top secret stuff, and it slowly gets bled into as they release it.
Yeah.
As it's allowed to be released.
Mm-hmm.
Comes into our vernacular or whatever, but it's there's a lot more going on than we're ever going to see as it's happening. I mean, we've breached that a little bit before, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here within government. Anyway, I haven't even gotten into the economy yet, but let's see. They cut the White House budget. They saved taxpayers $22 million, and I'm not sure about that one. I don't know what you're cutting there.
That's not a lot of money, though, if you look at the whole thing.
No, it's not. When they're talking billions and trillions, what the hell is $22 million?
It's not even $1 per taxpayer, dude.
No, I'm going to go over here to the economy and see what he's talking about and see what they're talking about here. I know we already talked about the unemployment rate. The economic optimism index hits a 13-year high, and the credit is the tax cuts. U.S. jobless claims, there you go, 45-year low is the U.S. jobless rate right now.
That's the best it's ever been in our lifetimes.
That's 45 years, dude.
All four of us in this room right now, that's the lowest it's ever been in all of our lifetimes. Plus. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Bozo didn't do nothing but screw.
And he gets no recognition for any of this.
No.
I haven't seen
He's
any
a
of this.
racist.
Pisses me off.
Yeah. None of this is in big news.
No, they don't want to talk about any of this
If
stuff.
it is, it's just a flash.
I mean, it's
across the
unfortunate
screen.
that the president has to sit here with his team and make a website to make people aware of these things.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, man. And now all of a sudden, he's dividing the country. I don't get it. These ignorant people who never have been political before are all of a sudden social justice warriors.
On the other side of that, all this needs to be checked too, though. But
Yeah, definitely. But I have heard now, you can't believe the mainstream media, but if you're hearing it on both sides, and then if you look at the people around you, you always got to test everything.
Yeah.
And that's the key. I know me and Solar Jeff had a rally or a protest during the 4th of July, downtown Akron, during the rib burn-off for the Second Amendment. And we went down there armed. I didn't, but a couple of other guys that had their CCWs and everything else went down there. And I was on a megaphone. They sent a provocateur down there while I was on the megaphone.
Well, they literally had their guns on their hips and over their shoulders and stuff. And he's got a megaphone, like...
Yeah, I'm just, and this guy comes down, looks like he's a crackhead or something, man, him and his buddy, and they're like, why don't you call it what it is? Obama is the N-word, and he's like yelling at me and stuff, I'm like, I'm not going to say that over the megaphone, dude. Like, we're down here peacefully protesting.
Right.
And
that's just ignorant.
Right. I'm like, you want to use the microphone, dude? You want to be an ignorant piece of crap? Then you do it, man. And we're going to put a camera on your ass and show how ignorant people are. He grabs my megaphone, throws it on the ground.
Ugh.
Yeah, so ridiculous.
He was trying to bait you into saying something.
He just came out of the Summit County Jail or something up the road, and he was walking down the road. I think they probably went in there like, hey, we're going to release you. We got some protesters down here. We want you to agitate them.
Yeah.
You know, if you do that, we're going to let you freaking come get out of jail free card.
Right.
You know? Probably in there for freaking smoking crack or something anyway, so who knows. Oh, the recovery is finally trickling down to the least educated workers. What? To least educated workers? I don't know what that means. That doesn't make sense.
What's the recovery?
I don't know. Maybe
Economic recovery?
Yeah, I'm in the economic section.
Oh.
American manufacturing expanded in August at the fastest pace in 6 years.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I've seen that at work because I go to plants and facilities, manufacturing facilities, and my income is dependent on how many people are working there, and I've seen a lot of places have amped up quite substantially, actually, man. So I see that.
Well, to boil it all down, jobs are coming back. Regulations have been lifted. Foreign trade is getting changed up to where it's not cheaper for a company here to get it done in China and bring it back. It's going to be cheaper to keep it here.
Sure.
That's what needs to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you buy products from China, I know a lot of people have bought stuff from China, and sometimes you just don't have a choice. It's junk. It's formed on an assembly line of slaves. These are slaves who live in 10 people in a freaking apartment. They put suicide nets on the top of these buildings because people can't take it anymore and they jump off.
Yeah, the forced work, slavery, that's one thing. But I got to say something else, too. Even though they might only make $2 a day, that's better than what they had before we were there. They were starving before.
No.
And that $2 to them is like $100 to us, dude. So, I mean...
No. I feel the economy going. My business is it's not full-blown gung-ho going right now, but it's going better than it was last summer. That's for damn sure. Summer's my slow month for some reason. I don't know why.
I don't either.
So we'll get into a little more situations here about ISIS, Homeland Security. He is actually here's ICE raiding some of the Mexican stuff, but ISIS is getting its ass kicked left and right by him, and they're in Syria doing stuff, and they want to go after Assad because
I say leave him alone.
Well, they're like, oh, he's like Assad has actually been fighting ISIS like crazy.
Yeah,
and he's been defeating them.
Yeah,
and
this has been going
all
on
of a sudden
for like
he gasses his own people. That doesn't make any
sense.
Time, that doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot of things that don't make sense about the Syria situation. And it's been going on for years and years. People don't realize it. This has been going on for like 8 years, man. It's been a long time.
Oh, well, ISIS, came out of nowhere during the Obama administration.
ISIS is a creation of the CIA and the OSS. We already know that. Man.
I know, but nobody wants to think they
don't call it the OSS anymore.
The big terrorist boogeyman. Come on, dude. Get out of my freaking way, man. I swear to God, if I ever found any kind of faction of ISIS or Al-Qaeda or anybody in the United States, they would be taken out, dude.
Oh, quickly by citizens.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter what race it is. You could be black, white, red, or green. You're getting your ass beat, and we're gonna turn your ass. We're gonna beat you in, and then we're gonna turn you in. It's the same deal.
We'll just get shot, dude.
Well, these guys, they don't understand. I mean, I'm sure, but they are coming across the border. They are getting in here and developing their own situations where they can build their factions and get their weapons together and get ready for all this stuff. So
when you got a situation in a nation like the United States where we are still. Fortunately, still have our rights to armament and stuff like that. Anybody this can be handled by citizens, any militia, anybody that sees a faction of ISIS, let's say, building a bomb or something like that, people will take that into their own hands and blow them away, or hold them, literally arrest them, and let the justice system handle it.
Well, the state of the country is still not where we want it to be. The Constitution, everything's being ripped apart. We do have a president that's trying to do something. It seems like, we're monitoring him. We are watchdogs. So are many other patriots that are in this country. We're watching, and we're trying to find out if he's going to do the right thing or not.
You know what governments do? And this is what the original American design was made to stop. To give the people the power, really to give the people the power, not what we're told that is right now, because it's changed, and that's intentional. You know what governments do, power structures do? They grow. They grow until somebody stops them.
Yeah, well, who's going to stop them? Bunch of unarmed.
It's up to us to do it.
Bunch of unarmed American citizens.
That's why we have our Bill of Rights. That is what it is.
Well, at some point, we're all going to have to be patriots, and I don't know if you want to do it now or you want to do it when it's too late.
Well, everybody, a lot of people, they talk about patriotism, may or may not know what it really is, but a lot of people claim to be something, whether it be an anarchist, a patriot, or whatever it may be, until it's time to do anarchist and patriot stuff.
Yeah, I like it. I've been sitting here for a whole hour liking it. It's my turn.